Would you like to have your own home music studio set up? Then keep watching. Hey friends! So you are interested in getting started making music? Awesome, because in this video you will learn how to set up the foundation of your own home music studio. All the essential things you need to start making music. Making music have never been easier. Just think about how it used to be. Artists needed to record and produce their music in super expensive studios with huge mixing consoles and all kinds of hardware equipment. Today, it is very different. The powerful home computers, software instruments and effects have made music making into something many people can afford and learn. So, what do you need to set up your own home music studio? Well, of course it depends on your personal needs and wants, but I am going to teach you what I consider to be a basic home studio setup with all the essentials for modern music production. The first thing you need is a dedicated place to set up your home studio. If you have a spare room you can use, I would definitely recommend it. But it is perfectly acceptable if you only have a corner of a room to set up your music studio in. In fact, that is what I used personally for many years. If you are going to record acoustic instruments or vocals, you should take some time to tame the acoustics of the room. By this I mean that you want to reduce the room sound and echo in order to improve the quality of your recordings. I am sure you have experienced how much echo you get when you are in a completely empty room. For example, when you move into a new apartment. This is because the sound waves only have flat and hard surfaces to bounce on, which increases the amount of echo. So, what can you do to control the room acoustics? Soft materials are great for absorbing sound, so I recommend you to use big and heavy carpets on the floor, more furniture in the room as well as shelves on the walls. This will disperse the sound waves so they bounce in different directions, which will decrease echo as well. If you have a window, you might want to use heavy drapes, since soft fabric greatly improves the acoustics of the room. The second thing you need is a desk to be the base of your home studio. I recommend you to get a decent sized desk that can take quite a lot of weight, since you will need place for lots of heavy equipment. And it does not feel good if everything is cramped together with no place to spare. Also, make sure to install some kind of cable management to the desk, because there will be lots of cables, no getting around that, I'm afraid. When you are done, place the desk facing the shortest wall of the room if you can, because this is better for the acoustics. Alright, now it is time for the command center of modern music production, the computer. This is the single most important tool you need for making music. Whether you choose a Mac or PC does not really matter, unless you choose software that is only available for one of them. The important thing is that you need a powerful computer to handle the workload of all the software instruments and effects you will use. CPU performance is the single most important factor, followed by RAM memory and then storage space. I personally recommend making music on a desktop computer with a large monitor or even dual monitor setup, since it will be much more efficient when you don't need to scroll around all the time. But if you prefer to use a laptop instead, it works just as fine. Just make sure it is powerful enough. So, what is powerful enough? Well, I would say at least a dual-core CPU with 2.0 GHz, 8 gigabytes of RAM and 50 gigabytes of free disk space. That would be my minimum requirement for a computer to make music on. But if you want to be able to use more software instruments and effects, you should invest in something more powerful. To be able to record vocals, instruments, and monitor your music, you need an audio interface. This is basically a piece of hardware that connects your computer to outside gear like microphones, guitars, studio speakers, headphones, etc. The modern standard audio interfaces are most often connected to your computer with USB. The amount of inputs and outputs varies, but I recommend you to get an audio interface that has at least one microphone input, one guitar input, one stereo line input, one master output, and one headphone output. Even if you don't play the guitar or sing personally, you might want to invite someone who does for one of your future songs. Up next is the software you need to make your music with. In professional terms, this kind of software is called DAW, which stands for Digital Audio Workstation. There are many choices here with different workflows and overall layout. I have personally used many of them throughout the years, and finally settled on Logic Pro X, which suits my workflow perfectly. Here is a list of the most common DAWs you can check out. Many of them have trial versions so that you can test them for a short period. I suggest that you take some time to find out which software feels best for you, because you will spend a lot of time working in the DAW you choose. All DAWs come with lots of instruments and effects straight out of the box. But when you get deeper into music production, there are many third-party plugins and sound libraries you can invest in. Next, it is time to invest in a good microphone. The best part is that good microphones are not very expensive today. There are many different kinds of microphones you can use, but for vocal recordings, you should mainly look for a large diaphragm condenser microphone with a cardioid pickup pattern. This might sound a bit technical, but it is practically a standard for music studios. So I advise you to visit a music store and simply look for vocal microphones designed for studio recordings. Remember to also get the accessories you need for your microphone, such as a microphone stand, microphone cable, and a pop filter. The pop filter is a piece of fabric that basically saves you from getting the distorted popping sounds when saying letters like P. Now you need something to input notes with into your computer and music software. A device that you can use to add all your melodies, chords and rhythms. I am talking about a MIDI keyboard. MIDI is basically the digital data used by music software for musical notes and values. A MIDI keyboard comes in different sizes and with all kinds of features. Some have lots of knobs and buttons that you can, for example, use to control your software instruments in your DAW. But in essence, all you need are the keys. There are MIDI keyboards from 25 keys up to full piano-sized 88 keys, even with weighted keys to feel like a real piano. Personally, I feel that 49 keys is the smallest size to use as your master MIDI keyboard, because then you can use it for both bass and playing chords or melodies at the same time. But before you buy a MIDI keyboard, visit a music store and try out as many of them as you can. Test various sizes, how the keys feel, as well as the extra features. Next up is headphones. Even though speakers are generally best for monitoring your music accurately, I would say the essential studio setup should start with a pair of high-quality headphones dedicated for music production. The main reason I believe headphones are more important than speakers is simply because most of us have neighbors and family members to consider, and we don't want to disturb them, especially if you like making music late in the evenings. So, what should you consider when choosing headphones? Well, most headphones on the market have a false representation of the sound frequencies present in your recording. When producing music, you want accuracy when monitoring the sound. So look in the music stores for a pair of headphones, not in the electronics store. Awesome! This will get you started to create your essential home studio setup. I'm Mike, signing out, and you rock, my friends! Are you a music maker who wants to become successful with your music? Then join the Music Makers group on Facebook and meet and connect with fellow music makers on the same journey as you.